Good evening, everybody. It's Nick Thompson, vet here, the holistic vet. And on this channel, we call ourselves the Gut Doctor. I'm just changing my microphone there so that we get the very best resolution. So that's really good. Guys, I hope you're really well. It has been an absolute stinker today. It's been really difficult to concentrate on work. Because down in the valley here, up at the top, it's about 28 degrees. But down here in the valley, it seems to hold the heat and reflect the heat, and so we probably did about 31 degrees today. The dogs are absolutely melting. I wouldn't dream of taking them out in anything above about 26, maybe 27. But they're very happy. Yeah, they're sight hounds, so they tend to be a bit chilly, although Jet is slightly warm. And it's great to be here again on such a lovely, warm, open, balmy day. Here we are again. I wouldn't be surprised if nobody joins us today. We have a few brave souls because it's so wonderful out here, outside, that I'm sure you've got better things to do. However, saying that, you can see this podcast again on the Vermex website, vermex.verm-x.com. You can see it on my website, on Facebook, and you can see it on my channel on YouTube. So all is not lost. You're very welcome to jump into those to get into it. Today we're going to be talking about pesticides in our pets and the impact that it has on the environment and on us. Okay, these are the products. I'm just going to talk a little bit more to allow people to gather. These are the products that when you join up for a pet health club at the local vets, for example, they will give you them for free. And you will be encouraged to, depending on the product, to use them monthly for life or every 3 months for life. They come in drop-ons or as tablets, and they are universally accepted. Almost universally. I don't, obviously, but I'll give you the nuance with that in a little bit. They are generally accepted by the profession and by people who receive these for their pets, the cats and their dogs. But actually, to their credit, the veterinary profession is taking a step back and just saying, "Oh wow, are we inadvertently contributing to a potentially existential crisis, because the insect numbers are incredibly down on the numbers." For example, and you've probably heard me say this before, 30 years ago, you go on the motorway or on an A road, and after a day or two in your car, you would have to wipe the headlights, wipe the screen, those gritty mosquitoes that you get on there, difficult to get off. But nowadays, I can go an entire year without having to take insects off my windscreen. So there has been a measurable decline in general insect numbers. And he says, pointing out the window, we live in the country here. Yeah, we are not. We're not rural. We are not suburban. We're not in the towns. Okay, and so we do see insects. We see bats who eat insects, so there must be some around. But, generally speaking, they are in decline. And I think that we need to really step up and realize what we, the pet owning public in the UK, I'm going to make this mainly UK centric, but this applies all over the world to our American friends. So it is a universal problem. And if we don't have bees, the pretty much agriculture and possibly the entire ecosystem in Europe will collapse. It is as big as that. Okay, this is a very heavy topic for a beautiful Thursday evening. But this is really, really big. I'm going to skim through things, okay, because I want you to just take on a little bit of information. I've been doing a lot of research today to bring you references so you can go back to it and have a look, or just look through for just a quick introduction to the enormity of the potentially catastrophic effects that we might be contributing to inadvertently. I would wager that people watching this show are probably not contributing much, if at all, or very, very cautiously. Okay. And I praise you for that. We need to protect and help and maintain welfare for our animals. But at the same time, we need to step away as much as possible from the overuse of these pesticides. Okay. The drop on pesticides, the oral pesticides that we give our pets. So I'm gonna crack on with the show. Let me get rid of our on-screen agenda. Shall I? Yeah, I will. Let me just take that. Hide all shown items. Great. Okay, there you go. I'm sure you're impressed with my skills. Just want to say good evening to Wendy and Heather and Rita. Rita. She's wonderful, powerful, wonderful woman in South Africa, and she hosted us recently, the Raw Pet Medics and Anaheim Bjorkman, and we met some wonderful people, wonderful dogs, and it still resonates within me. So enormous respect and love to Rita and to Xander and to the whole family there. Because we think of you very often, guys. Xander is dragged kicking and screaming to listen to our Raw Pet Medics show. I would imagine Rita has done the same. So great, guys. So lovely to see there people all over the world coming in, and it's just great. Tracy, you're super welcome. Okay, now more pyrotechnics. I'm going to go like that. Doop. Let's have a look. Let's go. Dink. Oh, that doesn't want to go. Why is that? Because I need to disappear into the corner. Bear with me. Huh. That's not happening there. I should see picture in picture. Shift. Let's try shift 3. Ooh wee. This is potentially. Oh, I know what I've done or haven't done. It's to do with sharing. Guys, I know I'm incompetent with these things. I'm a lot better with things that have 4 legs than one screen. Okay. So we're sharing. So I'm going to show that in there. And there we go. We prevail. Guys, we prevail. So if you're terrible at tech, join the club. I don't care. I'm better at dogs. Janet, you're really welcome. And Rita says we're missing you. Yeah, missing you guys. Great, guys. Let's get on. I'm going to be the guy in the corner over there, down here. Hello, and let's try and go over. Both Laura and Rosie are tied up because they're probably going out and having a great time in the sunshine. I hope so. But I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to just sit here for 1 minute and then we'll come back in. If you can see the screen and you can hear what I'm saying, please just put a little yes, or I can see the screen, hear your voice in the comments, and then I'll know and we'll be able to get around. We'll be able to get around not having my wing woman who can check. If somebody can just say yes, when we went onto the screen, it was okay. Yes, Tracy did. We're good. Tracy, you're a star. Okay, so as I say, this is really heavy for a beautiful day like this, but I'm just going to deliver it to you loads of references. You can look at it again on a cold, frosty night in December if you fancy. But this is too important to not discuss. Okay, so we're going to be talking about the environmental impact of veterinary pesticides in the UK. Okay, and in particular, we're going to be highlighting the drop-ons, which are Advantage and Advocate, made by Bayer, and the tablets NexGard, that's the once a month one. Brevecto, that's the once every 12-week one, and the Simparica product as well. And okay, so let's jump in. So let's just look at what are veterinary pesticides. Okay, so you can have pests on the inside of you. They're called worms generally, and we use products Milbamax, we use Drontal, and what have you. I like to try and avoid the use of internal products, internal pesticides, because what I do is I will do a worm count on a regular basis with dogs and only consider therapeutics, and primarily herbal therapeutics. Thank you very much to Vermex, by the way, for helping me to be able to put time aside to be able to talk to you guys. So Vermex on their website is verm-x, and you're welcome to jump in and have a look at what they do. I like them. We use them with our chickens and our dogs and our cats and everybody. Anyway, back to the show. So these are they for fleas and ticks and mites. But also for internal parasites. So internal parasites, mainly worms, and we're using those oral products. Panicure is a liquid product or a granule product that you can use. And on the outside, we're using the drop-ons, or we're using a tablet, which goes into the bloodstream, terrifying, and out to the skin, among other places, and then has a parasiticidal effect out there on the skin. Yeah, can you imagine how much you've got to give into the gut in order to get on any given square inch of skin sufficient to knock out fleas and ticks? Can you imagine? Okay, you don't need to be a chemist to work that out. Yeah, because the gradient. Yeah, if you've got 1,000 places where you need to deliver something, you've got to have a lot of source material. It's as simple as that. Okay, so I personally use these products very, very, very rarely, and they would be a last call for me. Take advice from your vet, take advice from your holistic vet, whatever. Don't just use them willy-nilly is my fundamental clinical advice. Okay, maybe they have a place. Talk to your vet and do the responsible thing in any given situation. The common ingredients is imidacloprid. These are in the Advantage and Advocate, and fipronil. Fipronil is, in my humble opinion, has had its day. Fipronil was the remember the spray, the white bottle with the blue writing called Frontline. That was fipronil. About 5 years ago, I was treating cats. Unfortunately, the owner decided to use fipronil, and it didn't work. And we discovered that it was because the bugs were resistant to the fipronil. So I think fipronil personally has had its day, but they're still using it in those drop-on products. The isoxazoles, I've been practicing this all afternoon. These are the isoxazolines, okay? And you will know them as NexGard, and you will know them as Brevecto and Simparica. These are the tablets that will go into the body and protect. No, they will protect. They do what they do what they say on the tin, but it's everything else that they do. That's what worries me. They will move out to the skin and protect the dog, cat from those superficial pests. Some of these products will also have worm effects as well. Okay, now it is commonly thought that they are essential for pet health. That if you don't have product A, B, or C every month, every 3 months, then you are somehow being a less than diligent owner, guardian, parent of your pets. Okay, I reject that completely. Children get lice. Okay, so the average child gets head lice maybe once, twice, three times until the age of 10. We do not, with children, dose them in pesticides for a start, and number two, we don't do it on a monthly basis just in case they get the fleas, ticks, and things during their childhood. So for me, the fundamental premise of repeat treating animals who have neither gutworms or fleas or ticks is 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 bogus, spurious, and I think that the logic is very broken down. How do they work? Well, with the spot-ons go onto the skin, and they've designed there's a carrier which carries them all over the body. Clever stuff. Yeah, it works within the oily layer of the skin. The tablets go into the system, into the blood, and then are moved out to the skin, as we've just described. What is the actual mechanism? The answer is that the nervous system of an insect is sufficiently different from the nervous system of a bird or a mammal that if they find something that is toxic to an insect or very closely related who have a similar nervous system, it will knock them out. But because the host nervous system is very, very different, it is thought that they would have zero impact. More of that in a slide or two. By the way, I spent a long time digging out references so that you can go. This is not me just being contentious, me being, the guy who is spoiling everybody's day. This is so important that actually science is now catching up. Okay, this is a 2012 paper. There are many more, and they're coming in thick and fast now. So what are the how does dosing your dog or cat affect the environment? It's like, oh, well, I dose the dog in the house. How does that affect? The answer is that if you wash your dog in the house, which is where you will do it, even if you wash it outside, that water will enter the water system, unless you've got a soak away or a septic tank or something like that, and that will enter the municipal water, which will eventually land in the rivers. It is not decontaminated by the sewage system. Okay, so number one is just washing pets and that effluent water entering the natural waterways, the rivers and streams and brooks of this fair country. Okay, so the next one is if you're taking a tablet, then there will be fecal contamination. Dog takes some NexGard or some Paracal or whatever it is, and there is fecal contamination. Dog goes and poos. Most people pick up, some people don't. If they don't, then there will be rain onto that stool, and that will contaminate the soil and eventually find its way into waterways or aquifers below the surface, so that you can have the joy of drinking it 2 years later. Okay. Also, shedding fur. So the dog goes for a swim in the river, and there is a certain amount of wash off that coat, but also the hair might shed and go into the environment. And this is how these things work. There was a study fairly recently looking at fipronil. This is the front line, and the imidacloprid. These are the drop-ons, and they found that fipronil was present in 100% of English rivers. Okay, I'm sure it's the same in the States. 100%, and almost as bad imidacloprid, 70% of rivers. Scared? I think you should be. Okay, even if you're not directly contributing to that, I feel my obligation is to tell you so that you can tell your friends. They probably won't believe you. Send them back to this show so that they can see some science. Okay, this is the evidence, and this is what we are looking at. Let's look a little closer at the impacts of these waterways. They are fipronil and imidacloprid. The drop-ons are not very toxic to dogs, obviously, because otherwise dogs would be keeling over left, right, and centre. But they are very, 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 because these aquatic invertebrates, which is kind of insect-like shrimps and water fleas and what have you. So insects, and there are insects galore in rivers, obviously, they are getting absolutely wiped out by the presence of these things. Even at low level, they will, because it's persistent. They are being wiped out. UK study that of 283 rivers that were sampled, 105, okay, over 1/3, fipronil was above safe levels. So I don't know what a safe level of an exceedingly toxic thing is, but there you go. Now with the isoxazolines, forgive me, I've been trying to learn it all day, and in fact for years. These are the next guards and the brevectos that we don't really know how much it gets into the water, but I think we should say, well, let's assume it is getting into the water until we know otherwise. Okay, and these have enormous impact. And if your dog is getting these products, drop-ons or tablets regularly, you may well be contributing directly to that contamination. They have a massive effect on the insects, as we said, as we started. They also, not only with little critters down by the river, they will actually, as they permeate through the soil, they will have an impact, because there are lots of tiny little insects like fleas, like flies, like mosquitoes, like, little wormy things, which are essential to the microbiome of the soil, and they are being nuked by the presence of these products. Okay, so if you just thought, ooh, don't like the idea of contaminating river, yeah, but what's between where your dog is walking, a common dog route, and a river 2 miles away? There's a lot of soil, and that is being contaminated. So I think we really, really need to be aware of that. The fluorolanas, these are the next guards, Simparica and the brevectos, they've even been detected in birds' nests. Okay, so that means that Mr. Kingfisher takes a little fish which has been contaminated, and then is a sufficient level within that bird to perhaps be shed in feathers into the nest, such that it contaminates. Okay, and so these tiny baby birds, minute little things, they are arriving and growing in a really comfortable bed of fluorolana, which is a neurological disruptor. Okay, that's what it does. In 2019, to that end, in 2019, the FDA put out a warning against fluorolana products, saying that it is recognized that it can be these things can be associated with, for example, epilepsy, neurological deficits, and even death. Okay, you can look it up. FDA fluorolana warning 2019. Go check it out. As I said, there's Mr. or Mrs. I'm not a bird, a twitcher, so I can't tell the difference. They are being exposed, through insects, through small mammals. They are being exposed to these things. And fipronil, as well as being neurologically toxic. They in non-insect species, they can act not in a lethal capacity, but as endocrine disruptors. That is to say, they can not kill you straight off, but disrupt your hormones, disrupt your reproduction, disrupt your growth, disrupt maturity, and these kind of things. So whichever way you square this, it is very, very worrying, and and that's really something that we need to be aware of. Um, so as I say, we've got data showing the isoxazolines, and this is what the FDA looked at because of the neurological issues. Spot-ons, okay, they are toxic to insects, growth, endocrine disruptors, but also they can cause irritation. But that's pretty obvious. I once had to use some on the cat, and he had a patch on the back of his neck for about 2 weeks. Really nasty, just to be avoided at all costs. So, and is there a risk to humans? Well, if it's an endocrine disruptor, who knows? Who knows? It's probably not going to affect your nervous system. However, I had a friend who 20 years ago, they used to use fipronil frontline, and they used to kindly spray dogs in the consulting room to save owners the hassle, and they would spray them. And she, after about a year of doing this, had to give up work because she couldn't feel her fingers anymore, and she had neurological symptoms. Okay, and it was traced back to the um, frontline spray that she was using. So they say human risk is low, but I think it depends on exposure. And frankly, if there's, if it's below safety levels, I'm still not happy. I want it to be zero in the environment. So one of the problems is that the manufacturers and those end users are not really being watched very carefully. And the VMD, the Veterinary Medicines Directorate, which is a government department which watches over the use of drugs in animals, as the name suggests, they haven't really looked at environmental assessment of these products. So they're blind. Yeah, they're regulating products that they don't know the impact of, which is terrifying. The EU, several years ago, 8-10 years ago, banned nicotinoids, neonics. Okay, neonicotinoids. This is the front lines of this world, and they've said there is a ban, but it only applies to agriculture, not to our pets. So the EU are admitting it's a bad thing to have in the environment, and yet they let it be on dogs, which go swimming in the rivers, and all the other contamination possibilities. Okay, so basically it's a mess, and we need to do something about it, and we really, really need to lean much more heavily on our natural products. And the final slide, I'll just talk about that a wee bit. So what we need to do is, if you've got pets who don't have a high risk of getting fleas and ticks, then you should really back off with the use of any pharmaceuticals, if at all possible, and rely more on the natural products. I like Vermex. They also do a flea and tick. I just had this happening sitting here. I promise. Literally, I always have it on my desk. Okay, this is their product. It's called Flea and Tick. I hope you can see that because here you go. It's called Flea and Tick, which is easy to remember. Vermex, Flea and Tick, and we use that. It goes in the dogs and makes them less attractive to fleas and ticks. Yay. Okay, really, really good. So if you've got a dog who is an absolute tick magnet, you've got to use even more products. So there are spray-based products. My wife Ellie does a product called Insect Defense. I even have this permanently living on the, okay, it's called insect defense. There are other products on the market, okay, and we use a combination of those two. None of ours are particularly flea tick magnets, but we just do that to be sure. We use the spray, to be honest, not the Vermex. We use it on the children. Yeah, and ourselves. Yeah, if we go camping or something, just put that bit of that on to keep the ticks off. Yeah, so very much looking for alternatives, responsible use. You know, if your dog has just been dosed, don't go swimming in the river, and just kind of change your mindset as to how you might be exposing your environment. Yeah, this is not some airy fairy. Something's happening in Norway or Idaho. This is this is directly impacting you and your dog's environment. And I think that if you can bear that in mind in your use of these products, I think it's a really, really good idea. I've put let's advocate the VMD, the Veterinary Medicines Directorate, to enforce stricter environmental regulations, but yeah, there you go. I'm a bit pessimistic about that. But if you are in the mind to, please do write to them to implore that they might be more responsible. I'm trying to be careful with my language. So, all in all, I think we all need to be on the barricades, be active participants in minimizing the use of these highly effective, almost too effective products. Arguably, they do protect. No, they do protect. But what else are they doing, guys? That's the thing. What else are they doing? Because these things can harm the aquatic life, all the little insecty creatures at the river. They can affect dogs. They can possibly affect humans, and they affect the soil. Yeah, disrupting the ecology of the soil. And if that is an effect, then there are enormous downstream impacts. We need to keep our rivers, our soils, our hands, our children clean. Yeah, because if you just put a drop on, or even Bravecto, into your dog and you then stroke them, you're contaminated. Yeah, you've got that on your hands. So talk to your vet about responsible use of these things. Try and minimize the use of these things. Here, I hope you got that. I really hope you got that. Did you hear that, everybody? I think you did. Okay, that's wonderful. Okay, guys, just after the half hour, if anybody's got any burning questions, I will. Martina, hello in Virginia. Lovely to see you there. Um, um, yeah, no, I think we're done. Guys, listen, it's absolutely beautiful out there. Get out there, especially now, because this is the time that you get your near infrared, that kind of ready evening glow. That is the most healthy, and in the morning as well. That is the most healthy. It will actually upregulate your mitochondrial function. Okay, it's for your immune system, for cancer, for you name it, for health, for brain health, absolutely everything. Joe, really appreciate your warm words there. Guys, I'm just going to go because I've said everything I need to say. It's beautiful out there. I'm going to go and get some near infrared. Absolutely great I'm amazed so many people came along. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We'll be back in about 4 weeks. We're entering holiday time, so we're going to jump about a little bit. So keep an eye on the VermX website, Verm, VERM hyphen X.com website. That's where all the information comes through on Facebook and on Facebook. And let's do it. Yeah, I'm rambling again as usual. I'm going to go, and I wish you all the very best. Do thinking, get some action, and be happy. See ya.